So Trump's comments on abortion during his Daily Mail interview, in which he said that he would vote in favor of a Florida referendum that would change the abortion accessibility in the state to the standards that they had when Roe v. Wade was still the law of the land. He also talked about a post that he wrote last week. So in that post, he said, "My administration will be great for women and their reproductive rights." Now, first, he talked about IVF and condemned Alabama and the ruling in Alabama, essentially dubbing frozen embryos human lives, children. He argued he was stronger on protecting IVF than the Democrats. Then he also bragged about getting Roe overturned while also talking about how he thinks the country is fairly liberal when it comes to the topic of abortion. Take a look.
As far as abortion is concerned, for 52 years, people have wanted to take Roe v. Wade out of the picture and bring it back to states. And I was able to do that. Now, I happen to be like Ronald Reagan in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. And I think it's a very good thing. I think probably 85% of Republicans are there, probably maybe more Democrats. But I was able to take it out of the federal government. We're now voting in places like Ohio, where I must say the vote has been much more liberal than some people would have thought. Kansas, where it's conservative. I won both states by a lot. But the vote's been very, very liberal, relatively speaking.
Which is why he's now coming out, vehemently against a 6-week abortion ban in states like Florida, and he's saying that he's going to vote in favor of a referendum that would set the Roe standard in that state. And by the way, in regard to IVF, he says that he would push for the federal government to help assist with the funding and payments associated with IVF treatments, which are incredibly expensive.
So pro-lifers, what are you going to do? Because he now says he's in favor of Roe. That's the Florida ballot measure is exactly Roe. You're going to vote for him and you know it because you think he's lying and you know that. And you think that if they actually pass it in the Senate and in the House, that Trump will sign a national ban on abortion because he's on your side. That's what you think, right? So admit it. So either you think he's lying or you should be livid. This is the greatest betrayal of conservative voters probably in American history.
Not really, it's a sliver of conservative voters. It's those evangelical voters, and they might be single issue voters, right? These are the people who only vote based on who's the most restrictive on abortion. And look, to be fair to that.
So all of them should vote against Trump. Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
Well, okay, so they claim they're gonna vote against Trump. Who knows how they're actually gonna vote? And honestly, I don't care. But the point that I'm trying to make here is they are irrelevant. Okay, they're a tiny part of the conservative electorate.
No.
Yeah, they are.
No. Two things, Anna. They're not the whole electorate on the Republican side, for sure. That's true. But they're still a giant chunk. Evangelicals are a big chunk of Republican voters. And second of all, if they stay home, they're never going to vote for Kamala Harris. But if they stay home or they vote for someone else, that could definitely affect him. Remember, he won in 2016 because over 80% of white evangelical voters showed up to vote, which is a stunning number. And 85% of them voted for Trump. That made all the difference in the 2016 election. So they're gonna have to make a decision. Do they think that Trump is a degenerate liar and so he's still on their side and they're not worried about it? Or no, he's betrayed them more than any politician has, and he went from overturning Roe to saying Roe is great and he can't wait to vote for it in Florida. So you guys make your own decision, but
I'm just having a hard time, like, okay, there's a contradictory thing going on here and maybe I'm missing something and maybe you can help me understand it. How do we go from talking about the majority of Republican voters wanting to have less restrictions on abortion to now saying, no, it's a huge part of the Republican electorate? And
no, that's super easy, Anna. So the country's 70-30 pro-choice, right? That entire 30% is in the Republican Party, And they're the evangelicals. No one outside of the evangelicals thinks that the government should get between us and our doctor and make these personal decisions. You have to believe in the voodoo in order to believe
But among them, I don't think 30% of Republicans would sit out this presidential election over
No, it's a matter of how many of those, and it's 30% of the country. It's a much larger chunk of the Republican Party. What's interesting, and you see it here in this number, look at Republicans in Florida, and the number that we gave you earlier, 34% are in favor of the Roe standard, which is this ballot measure, and 59% are against. That's 60% of Republican voters who are still anti-choice. And so they got this puts them in a difficult spot, but they'll back Trump because it isn't guys, look, in my opinion, it isn't about abortion, it's about identity politics. And they think he's our identity, she's not our identity. They would never vote for her in a million years because they don't look, it's not about the Bible's pro-abortion, it's not about any of those things. And it's not about kids, they don't care about Palestinian kids getting slaughtered, they don't care about any of these, they don't care about this. It's just about being able to control women's bodies. The identity they care about is it's not racial, guys. The identity they care about is the good old days. And what's the good old days? When men were in charge and women did what they were told. So that's what they're trying to go back to. And now they got to make a decision on whether they trust Trump or not. But no matter how you slice any of this, what the anti-choice movement did not want to just bring it back to the states.
No, they didn't.
Okay, they think that it's murder. And so they want it banned completely. So let's not now pretend all of a sudden they're like, oh, we don't mind either way. Oh, blue states want to allow it? Oh, that's fine. They don't think that at all. That's not remotely true. The whole point is to ban abortion nationwide. And so is Trump going to do that? It depends on which way the wind is blowing. But here's what I know. He's the one that appointed the justices that ended Roe. So that's an undeniable fact. So I score him a 0 on pro-choice.
And I should note that in the same Daily Mail interview, he would not give a clear answer on whether or not he would veto a federal abortion ban, which, I mean, look, I guess crazier things have happened. I think it's a non-starter in Congress. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.